Namco. They certainly made games.
While the company isn't popular anymore, they were definitely one of the biggest names in the arcade days. I think they can be considered one of the most influential companies in gaming history. Maybe. Who knows, honestly. I'm just one guy. Namco has been releasing compilations of their arcade games under the name Namco Museum for, like, a lot of time now, actually. The arcade games are good, so I'd say any edition of Namco Museum is worth the pickup. But there is one version of Namco Museum that kind of sticks out.
Namco Museum Remix is a game for the Wii that has the normal arcade compilation of a Namco Museum game, but they also have like a 3D hub world and some 3D remakes of some old Namco IPs called remixes, so it's more special, I guess. So we're gonna try it out. I had this game when I was a kid. I played it a lot and I remember liking it, but also it was one of the first video games I had ever owned, so there wasn't really, I didn't have a frame of reference of what was good or bad, so going back on it, I honestly have no idea if it's gonna be good or not, so
Also, they made like a re-release slash sequel of this game that was released in the US and Canada only called Namco Museum Megamix. The game was, I think it's just more arcade games. I couldn't get it on Amazon. I'm only one guy. Sorry. Here goes nothing. Now, I'm not an expert on Wii games, but Namco, I'm pretty sure Wii menu screens are supposed to have fucking sound. Like any noise. The first thing the player is met with when opening Namco Museum Remix is nothing but white noise. What? What is going on in this picture? Pac-Man is running away from the ghosts, laughing like mockingly at them. He looks like he's taunting them.
Not fast enough to get me. I'm Pac-Man, stupid ghosts. Idiot ghosts.
That's what he sounds like, everyone. Alright, let's get remixed. I don't really know what that means. I actually really like the hub world in this game. With the type of game Namco Museum is, they could have really easily gone for just like a lame menu screen, but instead, they turned it into a cute little Namco amusement park. It's nice. The music's fine, like, it's not terrible, but it's not amazing either. Namco outdoes it with their presentation again in the arcade room. You know, it's an arcade compilation for the Nintendo Wii. They didn't have to render an entire room with individual cabinets for each game, but they did, and it makes it all nicer.
To be honest, I want to ease my way into Namco Museum Remix, so I'm going to play the arcade games first. I'm going to play them chronologically from the order of their release dates. I honestly didn't play the arcade games that much growing up, so to be honest, I haven't played some of them and I don't remember all of them, so it's mostly a new experience for me.
Okay, so first off we have Galaxian. It's like fine. You know, at first you might be thinking, oh, well, it's an old arcade game, why am I being so critical of it? But here's the thing. Galaga, a game that has a remix version on this game, is a direct sequel to Galaxian that just improves on everything. The game runs faster, the shooting is faster, the graphics are a little bit nicer, the enemy AI is a little bit better. I just don't get why you wouldn't put Galaga in the game instead. I guess it's to have Galaxian as a relic, whatever. This is all, that's all I'm talking about. Next. Okay, next up we have Cutie Q. It's got a little dancing guy. It's the blue frowny faces. The Goomba bricks. Uh-oh. Artxe. I'll take anything but Artxe. Yeah, so this game's kind of weird. I would say it's safe to say it's a little bit strange of a game. Namco decided to mix Breakout with Pinball, which reasonably for 1979, it's actually a pretty genius idea. So I'm not being critical. Although, like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on in this game? I'm not a big fan. They decided to change. This is the only game they did this in for the arcade collection. They decided to change the controls from joystick controls to motion controls for the little paddle, which is not a good idea. It definitely made me enjoy QDQ less. Also, just a little quick Namco fact. Their real first game, GB, which, by the way, I can definitely fucking tell where that main character, GB, fits into all this, is basically the same game. Like, QDQ is just an update. So, it's just neat to me that Namco's first game was this weird mix between Pinball and Breakout. Did Breakout even exist then? I'm gonna look it up right now. Breakout did exist. Alright, next up is Dig Dug. I like this one, if you can't tell from my enthusiasm about Dig Dug. It's great, it's awesome. It's just the little things that make Dig Dug good, in my opinion. You know, it's just, the gameplay, in my mind, is a perfect arcade game, you know? It's not difficult of a concept, it's not really that crazy. It's just perfectly replayable to me. Digging, the shooting, the exploding the guys, the fact that the music only plays while you're moving just adds that little extra flair to the game. It adds a little extra element. You know, it was a choice, and when you add choices to things, it becomes more creative. That's how art works. I don't know. Don't ask me. This one is one of my favorites of the bunch, definitely. Maybe I'll change my opinion when I play everything at the end, but Dig Dug's pretty fucking charming. Look at the sides. I haven't really mentioned the borders yet, but I love a border. They didn't need to put the cabinet art in the background, but they did, and it makes you feel more authentic of an arcade experience. I also really like how once you defeat all but one enemy, the last enemy will start trying to run away, and I get this little guy at the end of the level. Kill him, get him, kill him. I got to level 8 in Dig Dug before losing. I don't know if that really speaks to how much I enjoy Dig Dug or speaks to how good Dig Dug is, but I don't know. Play Dig Dug. That's all I gotta say. It's nice music, nice dig. The Dug's okay. Next up, we have Super Pac-Man. I guess in 1982 they wanted to add more gameplay to Pac-Man. So, Super Pac-Man is Pac-Man, but you need to collect fruits, and the fruits are locked behind doors. You unlock the doors by collecting keys. It's pretty simple, like a bit more complicated than Pac-Man, but really not anything crazy. It has the power pellet that lets Pac-Man eat ghosts from the original, but it also has this giant Pac-Man pellet that makes Pac-Man huge, and it lets you eat through the doors, but you can't eat the ghosts. It turns them into what I refer to as all bloopy, and they pass through you. It feels like a pretty balanced game. It's pretty fun. I'd say it's harder than the original. The ghosts get really fast, but I think I actually like it more than the original. Well, we beat this level. Let's see what's in store in the next one. Oh my god. Well, I was just all busy giving Super Pac-Man compliments until they decided to play that music for me. I don't even know what to say. I do not know what to say. Did they not know that you can't just put notes together? You can't just string notes together to make a song. You actually have to fucking try. Come on, what is that? It hurts. It's bad. It's just like I don't even know what they were thinking. It's comically bad. There's to me that I just feel like there's no way they wrote that without knowing that it was awful. It's bad enough that I don't think there's a way you can consciously not acknowledge how horrible it is. But then again, they followed it up with a burger level. Namco, break my ears as you may, you know the path to my heart. It's lots of burgers. It's just a lot of burgers. Okay, next up we have, Xevious? Jeevious? Sheevious? Xevious? Listen, I don't know. I don't think I've played an arcade shooter that really runs this way. Basically, instead of just shooting forward, it's a scrolling shooter where you have this little reticle, and it's all in a top-down perspective. So when you shoot, the only things that actually get destroyed are the things at the center of your reticle. I found that the easiest strat was to just mash the fire button while I was moving around, and then, you know, you'll eventually find the middle of the reticle for someone. It was fun. I think this is literally just because it's a scrolling shooter, but something about it reminds me of like a primitive Star Fox. It kind of gives me Corneria vibes, if you know what I mean. Also, I like the little noise. I don't know if it's technically like the soundtrack or the music, but to me it feels like it's the noise these little UFO dudes make. It's groovy. I ended up playing Xevious for a long time, actually. It's difficult but really rewarding. To me, classic arcade games fall in between two categories of difficulty. It's either just traditionally difficult or really unfairly bullshit difficult. Xevious is the former. The next game is Mappy. It's the game about trampolines and the police mouse getting the burglar cats out. They were already out of ideas by 1983. There's actually a lot to talk about Mappy. The first thing is that it has a sound chip that was probably super advanced for 1983 because it doesn't sound like an 8-bit game. It sounds more like a 16-bit game to me. Maybe I'm just accustomed to 8-bit being attributed to the NES though, and I didn't grow up with the arcades, so who knows? Who knows? That's the answer of the question of the day. So yeah, it's the trampoline game. You bounce around trampolines and then you get the electronics around the house. Even though the cats are the burglars, you're stealing them to protect them from the cats, which is a little bit backwards to me. But it's also probably the most polished game in this collection, I would say. This might sound really stupid, but it's the only classic arcade game that I feel like has believable physics. It felt kind of fun to balance jumping on the trampoline between them, the cats everywhere. You know, they're running, doing their cat things, like running and trying to get you. So yeah, it was fun. I played it for a little bit. It's a little bit hard, but yeah, you know. Next up, we have Pac and Pal. This game was made on the same engine as Super Pac-Man. I'm assuming that I didn't play this one when I was a kid because I have no memories associated with it. I don't even really recognize the name. I looked it up online and barely anything came up too, so I guess this game went under everyone's radar. Okay, so I guess I started playing, but to be honest, I'm being thrown for a bit of a loop. I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's a whole lot going on screen. And none of it makes sense. In all fairness, this game does predate the NES, so I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt that it's not completely terrible, and the reason I'm so confused is due to a generational gap.
You know what? I'm starting to get a hang of this game. No, I get it. So in Pac and Pal, the goal is to collect all the fruits. But the fruits are stuck behind these pink cases, these pink bars. So the way you get rid of the pink bars is you go around that map and you flip around these cards that have fruits on them, but you don't know which cards have which fruits. That's random. And then also there's ghosts around the map, and Pac-Man has a green pal who can run around and pick up the fruits for Pac-Man, and he's immune to ghosts. Pac-Man, where do you get a friend that's immune to ghosts? Where do you find that? Where do you go at nighttime? And also, the pal can get you the ship from Galaga. He'll give it to you. You can eat it. You can eat the ship from Galaga, and then it makes you turn blue. But when you're blue, you cannot eat the ghosts. You can't do it. Don't even try to eat the ghosts when you're blue. Why do you think you could do that? Do you think this is Pac-Man or something? Or power-ups? Is he Pac and Pal? It's different. It's different.
They turned Pac-Man into a puzzle game, and shockingly, it didn't age very well. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. You can skip over Pac and Pal, oh modern gamer. That being said, the music is really nice, and it's a little cute. This is GA Plus, which supposedly is a sequel to Galaga. When I first read it, I thought it said Gapius, which is somehow still a better name than Gap Plus. So yeah, you know, there's honestly not a ton else to say about Gap Plus. It's exactly what I said it was. It's a sequel to Galaga. It improved on what needed to be improved on it. Runs faster, the shooting's really smooth now, the graphics are nicer. I suppose I can retroactively revoke the criticisms I made against not putting Galaga in, because I have Galaxy in the original, and then, I guess, a better version of Galaga. So, it all works out in the end. Gap Plus is a fun time, but it's a little underwhelming. Last, but certainly not least, is Pac-Mania, the 3D Pac-Man game for Pac-Man gamers. The concept of Pac-Mania is simple. It's a 16-bit remake of Pac-Man, and I gotta say, it's impossible to hate. The presentation's amazing for 1987. There's little cutscenes that play in between levels, and they just add a lot. It has this semi-3D perspective that was surely impressive at the time, and it still looks pretty good now. You can also jump over ghosts. Also, Pac-Man's sprite is adorable. Look at him doing his little eating thing. The jumping over ghosts thing sounds like it would make the game easy, but they compensated by making the game just like way harder than the original. More ghosts appear in the maze after every level. Like by the second one there's already 6, and it just gets more and more chaotic as you progress. What's more striking than the gameplay though, is the border art. Like, what the hell is going on in the background? 2 ghosts are yelling, "What's happening?" and "Crazy Man," and Pac-Man is saying, "Yum yum, I'll eat you up." Who is the Crazy Man? Is it Pac-Man? Because it's heavily implied that the Crazy Man you speak of is Pac-Man. Is the background of Pac-Mania legitimately depicting Pac-Man terrorizing 2 ghosts? Well, with this image and Pac-Man laughing at the ghosts at the beginning of the game, I'm starting not to like him anymore. What makes this art even weirder is that it wasn't even what was on the original arcade cabinet. The only source I could find for this art is that it was part of a Japanese ad run. When the promotional flyers came to America, they had it changed to "I'm back and bouncing" and "It's amazing." The later releases got rid of it altogether. This part's just completely an anecdote, but also in the Amiga version, the ghost is speaking in Wingdings. Yeah, honestly, I don't want to think this deeply about Pac-Man anymore. My stomach starts to hurt whenever I stumble upon the beginnings of a conspiracy theory.
Okay, so those were the arcade games on Namco Museum Remix. Some were good, some were bad. That's just how the Tootsie rolls. Tune back in to the Gorilla Show next week, maybe, maybe longer, and then I'll play the remixes. Have a nice jungle night.